Please welcome Laura Poitras, AJ Schnack, and Charlotte Cook.
So we're really thrilled about this project. This is it's looking at the Syrian refugee crisis. This is a filmmaker who came to us, total cold call, reached out to us and sent us a clip of some footage, and we were just blown away by the access and what he'd been able to capture. And what he follows is that really the first wave of Syrian refugees who travel across Europe by foot. And so what had happened, and that we all heard about the news, that people were in waves of refugees leaving the country and fleeing, and he was in the sort of first wave. And we'd seen this footage, and he said, well, would this be something you're interested in? We absolutely were, and it fit in every way in terms of the mission that we're trying to do. It was in breaking news. It was fit for an episodic, because we were interested in working with short form episodic, and it was working with a filmmaker who just had incredible insight and access, and that we wanted to support. So we came in early on the last fall on the project, and then when we got it to rough cut, we've been thinking about in terms of the work that we do and what our mission is, and thinking more and more that what we really want to do is support the production of films, but then be very broad in terms of the reach and distribution model that we want to find for them. And so we thought that this would be a perfect fit for the New Yorker. And we sent an email when we were at about a fine cut stage, and we said, was there any chance you guys would be interested? And we thought that the audience at the New Yorker and this topic would be a perfect fit. And we're absolutely thrilled that the New Yorker has agreed to publish the series, and so what you're going to see is a six-part series. I think the running time is about 70 minutes.
Thank you. So Matthew just reached out to us. He's from a more traditional journalistic background than the other filmmakers that we've worked with, so he's done a lot of work in current affairs, TV and that kind of stuff. He's done work with Al Jazeera, for example. So working with him was really interesting because obviously we come from a largely feature documentary background, so working with him was a very different process, but a really fun one.
I think there was just like about 3 or 4 minutes of footage, but it was clear that he had been on the journey with Abood and the others who were traveling, and so right away we could tell that he knew how to shoot, and that there was some great access to a story that I think is obviously a worldwide import, and I think that certainly the coverage here in the States and the reaction that we've seen from our presidential candidates and other politicians has shown a real lack of understanding of kind of what is happening with this crisis. So we just asked for more, and I think he sent us was there like
it was
first,
still
rough
unfolding.
cut?
He'd filmed the journey across, but I don't think he had gotten asylum yet in the Netherlands, and then the family he didn't gotten the papers, so the story was still unfolding, so we didn't know whether or not the family would be able to join. The fact that it's episodic is something that we're really interested in. Working with short form episodic for online and not just doing one-offs was something we were really excited about when we started. We definitely were interested in how to take on stories that are urgent and do it in a way that we felt that was cinematic and that would reach audiences in a different way. I mean, I think this is the first time we've seen many cuts and versions and given many notes, but this is the first time I've seen it sort of strung out and projected. And I mean, what it achieves that I think, for me, that I think is really powerful is just the emotional and the human cost of what this crisis and what we get in the news is something that's kind of really zoomed out. And so I think we really want to be able to do that with what we're trying to do at Field of Vision in terms of supporting filmmakers who can get at the stories in a different way and that can reach audiences differently. And I think very much it's international, and I think that's really important to us. And also working with a filmmaker that wasn't in our, it just came to us with the material and had this incredible access.
It was exciting to us just as an idea, and it was great to sit and watch it all, as Laura said, all together, because it sort of affirmed the things we hoped it could do. I think that it accomplishes it in that format.
I want to hear your perspective on what's happening with short-form documentary now. It feels like we are living in a very interesting kind of golden age of short-form documentary.
I think it's been really interesting because obviously we've been kind of because we react very fast and we put things out, when we want to, and we're not bound by any structure, we can really play around with how we're doing things. So just seeing how the audience is reacting, there's a huge worldwide audience for this stuff. I think people are looking for interesting content. Nobody's bound by broadcast schedules anymore. People are watching stuff online, and I think they're looking for interesting content, especially that talks about the world. So we're just seeing the audience grow and grow and grow.
To just comment on how actually horrible a lot of short form video is, and that there really is a need, particularly in the news space. I don't need to see a journalist standing in a conflict zone ever again. That's just really not cinematic. It's just like, let's bring in people who know how cinema works and can tell stories and using it. And we're showing that film festivals and other avenues that are sort of the likely places, but I think we also want to be able to work in outlets where they sort of sit alongside news programming or news stories.
And I also think that the emergence of some of the bad stuff, but like viral videos, and how people have sort of seen that just a small idea or a direct idea can be conveyed in a very short period of time. And I think my issue with shorts, many years ago, was they sometimes never seem to know what they wanted to be. Were they almost a feature? Were they not quite a fully formed idea? And I think that especially in the documentary space, people have learned so much from watching other kinds of work that is short form, and thinking about how you can convey a singular thought or a one idea, and to do it in a time that doesn't have to be 39 minutes long, and it can be something that is incredibly powerful and that people can watch on their phones or their tablets or their laptops or in a theater. That something that is that modular, I think, is a very exciting thing, and is going to inspire a lot more creative work. And most importantly, I think, is if the budgets are there to support the work to be able to be made, then we'll see. We'll continue to see good stuff. Okay. Sometimes it's a thing of like, oh yeah, that's 72 minutes. I'll find a night to do that. Whereas it's like, oh, it's 12 minutes. I'll check this thing out and see what I think. So I think it does open up an audience in a completely different way. Secondarily, I think that's what's interesting, what is a challenge, including for us as executive producers in terms of giving notes and thinking about what each is. They have to stand by themselves to an extent. They have to have a beginning. They have to have a beat at the end. In sort of the most crass terms, they have to have something that makes you want to come back, which is not necessarily like a cliffhanger, but you have to feel like, oh yeah, this is, I'm engaged. Oh, and now I want to see what is going to be published on the New Yorker tomorrow. So there's a lot of freedom that can come with this, but there are challenges about how you tell the story. But I think they're good challenges. They're like brain scrambling challenges.
And we found that actually publishing online in an episodic way builds momentum, because people start talking about it and then it just builds and builds. So the audience was growing day by day by day as we published. So we realized that actually helps the film get seen.
I don't think we're going to stop reading novels. So, I don't think we'll stop. Long form is wonderful. What I think that we're excited about is that long form takes a lot of time. And there will be, and there have been already, incredible films about the refugee crisis that's still unfolding. But there will be some that will come out in a year, in 2 years, and I think that there's something about the urgency, being able to be more responsive and work more quickly is actually one of the things that motivates us. But I don't think that that long form narratives, either documentary or fiction are going away. So I did 2 films for the OpDocs. One was about for the anniversary of Guantanamo, and the other was a piece about William Binney, who's an NSA whistleblower. And then after I started after I started publishing on the NSA stories, then Glenn Greenwald and Jeremy Scahill and we came together and we started working for First Look Media, and the question was what would I want to do in terms of bringing to that, and this is actually really what I was passionate about doing in terms of getting resources and funding filmmakers to be able to work in a more in a faster way, and to bring sort of cinematic tools to looking at issues that are her impacting us, and so it was very early in that, so 2013, and then I started talking to first to AJ to see if he'd be interested, and then we approached Charlotte to see if she wanted to get involved. So it's been a long time in the making. Even though we first launched last September, we started talking, I think, how much?
April of 2014.
By a sense of wanting to foster different types of creative voices, foster other filmmakers, make sure that work gets funded. I think we really wanted to support that and to try things out and take risks. And it's easier to take risks with short form. The investment isn't as great for as long form, and we just were really excited about that in all those different types of ways. And we're really excited about what is going to happen and who's going to knock on our door tomorrow.